Okay, let's see if this is going. This is Dave. I am going to do some virtual co-playing as opposed to co-working. Instead of doing work-related stuff, I'm just going to play around with some software. Specifically, I'm going to do some stuff in Photoshop to update my slate, which is this. Oops, that didn't work. This. The issue with this screen, it says another daytime co-working session. It's nighttime, so I want to change the text on that so it says something that's more generic. And then after that, I'm going to play with Reason, which is some music software that I use for recording podcasts. Not this stuff, but when me and my friend Sid were doing creative, what's it like to be photographers and new media designers in a small town, we use Reason to record. But I've kind of wanted to play with music too, and I've never used Reason for actually making music. So I'll play around with that a little later. Make sure they have audio going on here. And sounds like we have audio. Assume that's at a good level. So what we'll do, let me just adjust this for a bit. Let's open up Photoshop, shall we? So, let's see. Here I am using my Mac. Let's open up Photoshop. It's opening up this screen, and I had just been editing this file recently. So I have this file called slate-dave, and what this is I was just modifying this screen. I just realized why I had this other problem before. So I just made this banner earlier today. And I'm using something called there's a 3D rendering option in Photoshop. So I have a couple backgrounds here, or 3 backgrounds. There's this background, and then I can put any of these overlays over it. They're all set up as separate layers. Let's see. So what I want to do is modify this one. This is like a darkening layer here, you can see as I turn it on and off. And which banner are we going to use? The Creative Coworking was one I want to update. So this is actually set up as a 3D transformation on this text layer. So I believe I need to just change the title one. If I double click this group, I should get another window where I can edit it. This is the first time I'd actually used this feature, so I set it up all wrong. So someday I'll have to fix this again. So rather than saying another daytime co-working session, what should this say? Let's see if I can make sure I can select it. What does it say right now? Let me switch back to the slate. Another daytime co-working session. When this slate is up, what I want it to say is maybe just less text. Virtual co-working. And then describe what that is. I think that's the way to do it. So let's go. Select this virtual co-working. So one surprising thing about virtual co-working is that people actually watch these things. There's not a lot of people watching them because it's basically me like this just talking about what I'm doing. But some people who feel like they want some company to, as they're working on their own projects, so they're not alone, at least they know someone else is like working. They can time shift my working schedules to what they're doing and put this on in the background. Maybe the sense of camaraderie arises from that. It's the reason why I do these virtual co-working sessions is because I like sharing the process. And there's something about doing this that makes me want to work because people are watching. And I think it's good practice. It's good media practice for learning how to speak as I do things. And I get a little bit better at that every time I do one of these. So my goal is to be able to speak and do something at the same time, make some kind of sense while I'm doing it, and I guess share some of this energy. So virtual co-working, and so this was me trying to be clever. But let's simplify this. It's like a golden rule of design. I forgot what it said again. The slate says, it says design coding experimenting on the left side, and then on the right side it's going to say virtual co-working. What does it say in the actual? I have the creative co-working stream there. Maybe I should mirror that. So creative co-working with, and then I'll describe what this is. Background, studio, noise. And those are pretty generic. Creative co-working. Creative virtual co-working. What should I say there to change this? Working at home from occasionally. What to say, what to say. What to say, what to say. Kat, you have any ideas? No? And the first one I'm saying, how come I can't switch this now? Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. Saying design coding, experimenting. Creative co-working sessions. Sharing process and sharing process with random people. Sharing sounds in process. Sharing is caring. Actually, it's sessions. Let me see. Maybe I don't need a title. Creative co-working session. I feel the need to actually mirror what it says on the bottom. Live stream. Digital media design and development studio. Sounds so important. Maybe that would be okay. Seems pompous, but I can always change it again. Alright, so that's updated just now, as you can see. And I guess I could save it as is, but I actually want to render it. And I had some issues last time when I rendered this. So I just switched to the render panel here. Let me adjust my accessibility preferences here. I had moved my I had taken my computer out, so it didn't do anything. Oh, it's because I'm on some sort of full screen thing. That's annoying. Accessibility shortcut. Every time I unplug my monitor and bring the computer to Starbucks, it loses this setting. So I need to adjust the size and position and then move this whole window on this side. Resize. Screwed it up. Resize this. And click OK. So now when I press the zoom button, I can show you what I'm actually looking at. So over here on the right side, it was slow. So this is the 3D panel here on the right. And there's the bottom down here. There are some buttons here. This one's the render button, I think. And it's like a, yep, that's the render button. So I think there's some settings, the resolution settings, but I forget where those are. But if I press the render button, I don't know if you can see this, but there's these blue rectangles that are appearing, and it's slowly refining this text. And I'm seeing a weird issue here. I've noticed that there has some kind of mismatch between these layers. There's a little bit of a gray gap. It's not completely rendered there. But one thing you can do with the 3D renders, you can specify the area you want to render, and so it doesn't render the whole screen, so it goes much faster. So it's just finished. So there's this gray anti-aliased edge here. I don't know where that's coming from. I suspect it's some issue with the renderer itself. It could be a resolution thing. But the interesting thing is, it doesn't seem to happen if you just update this. So I just save that again. This is actually a separate smart layer, it looks like. And it's re-rendered it much more cleanly, because this is like a low resolution render. And this side looks like crap, but I don't know what to deal with that. That's the brand side of things. Let's take a look at this. This is another layer. So what the 3D transform does is, oh, I'd changed this, didn't I? I had changed this to be bold. Also, the spacing is a little weird now. And then I had made this. So Proxima Nova. Oh, are you kidding me? This is going to crash on me now. Oh. Anyway, let's try this again. Proxima Nova. Regular. And this, I think I changed to semi-bold. Probably running out of video memory. Then I had moved this whole thing over here. So save that, and I go back to the main side of things. And see, what I'm looking at is this ropiness that's happening here. Oh, I think I know what's causing that. Let's go back to it. Not that one, but this one. Actually, it looks like an anti-aliasing bug. But what I thought I saw was like something weird with the gray around it. What it might be is like the resolution of this texture is too low, and so it's forced to interpolate stuff. All right. Well, let's try screwing around with this. Let me save this first, because it's still okay. And I'm gonna make a duplicate. Oops. I'm going to make a duplicate of this file so I don't screw up the original one. So save as. And this is in the right place. Slate Dave. Re-res. What I'm going to do is going to try to make those textures bigger and see if I can improve the rendering quality of these edges here, because this looks like crap. And that, in fact, I think that's what's happening. It's shrunk it down someplace. Now the scary thing is, to do this, I'm going to have to actually scale this whole thing up. And what's going to happen when I do that, somebody can find the right layers. Let's see how this is set up. So that's the whole thing. This whole thing is this offline thing is something that appears. If we go back, you'll see it render like this, and it's all angled because that's what the 3D thing is doing. I actually want to scale the branding bar up, I think. It looks like this is the entire screen. Alright, let's try this. This is going to be a bad idea, I think. And the brand bar is the orange part there. this is the background bar. What I want to do is select all of these. Oops. I'll select all of these and scale them up. I'm not sure if I can just type Command T to try to oops. But if I do it manually like this, I'm gonna get screwed. So I'm gonna have to select this bottom one here, and then this is not Illustrator, unfortunately. I should have set this up as an Illustrator file. What I was looking for was a relative tool so I can resize this. It looks like I don't think I can do that in Photoshop. I'm looking for something. Oh, the width is here. But I want it to be right justified when I shrink this. Maybe I can select these. And if I go into direct select mode, maybe. And maybe it gives me just these points. So it's not really working. Maybe it is. Okay, so I can select this. Oh, that's slow. And then if I set this to, let's say, from 1302, I'm going to set this to, like, well, then I guess 900. Oh, I moved the other side. Damn it. That's not what I wanted. Is there an expanded version of this dialog box? Is there a transform window that I can use? In Illustrator there would be one. Yeah, so what I want to do is, like, I want to move that so I can apply to 3 other layers and not have them all slightly different. I'm usually not using Photoshop these days, so I'm not sure if this even has this transform window that I hope exists. What would it be under? Under Illustrator it would be under the Align menu. So I'm looking for something that looks sort of like that. Info. I should just actually read these. Measurement log, paragraphs, notes, paths, properties. There's the properties is up there. Oh, actually there's an XY up there, so maybe I can do this. So it's at minus 42.99. Let's say if I set that to 300, move the whole damn thing over. I guess what I can do is set this length then. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll just, or did it do that because I wasn't in direct select mode? This is direct select mode, regular A, that'll switch it to it. So that should select that. Maybe if I turn on a snap. Let's try moving it to here. This is at minus 312. If I just remember that, maybe I'm okay. So now that I have that, I've moved it to 312. I should write that down in case I need to remember that. Let's find a piece of paper. The back of this envelope. So 312. Let's say save that. Let's look back over here. And it's editing. Alright, so that's good. So what I want to do is basically make this texture really big. So I don't need to scale it up as much. So what's happening here is, like, clearly, like, I'm not using all this space efficiently. Most of this is empty space. But then on this screen, it's like, it's taking like the middle third of the screen. That means I'm wasting 2/3 of the resolution of that graphic. And that's why I'm getting this ropey texture, I think, down here. So what I want to do is see, actually, yeah, let's just see if it actually makes a difference or not. It's going to screw everything up. I know how to relay everything out, but at least it'll tell us if that's what's happening. Looks like I can't do that. Okay, select this whole bar and Command T it. Okay, it seems to have worked. And so then I want to actually expand this by percentage. Let's see, where's the expansion tool? Is there a scale tool somewhere here, or am I imagining it? Or am I thinking of Illustrator? I'm thinking of Illustrator. Stamp, brush, healing brush, sample, crop, magic wand, lasso, marquee select, layer select, magnify. What the hell is this? Hand tool. Shapes, selection tools, text. There's gotta be like, where the hell is the actions adjustments? It's not adjustments, is it? No, these are layer adjustments. Oh, maybe it's in review. No. Window, it says not there. Character styles, clone. Info layer comps? No, that's not it. Layers. No. I could have sworn there's a. I know there's a scale tool somewhere. Why come I can't find it? Oh, there's what I'm looking for. This is the this is the scale. So I need to link those. Let's make it. Let's make it 200%. All right. And now if I save this and go back, that's gigantic now. But let's see. At least the ropiness is kind of gone, at least relative to what it was before. It's just too big. Okay. So we've got that. Let me undo this. And let me drag a line right here. It's not snapping though. Oops. How come I can't select that? Did I lock the grids? Lock guides. Command, that's what I just typed. Why didn't it turn it off? Guides are unlocked, but I can't select it. Oh, because it had to be in direct select mode. Why can I not select this? It had to be in this mode? Okay, so I had to actually be in layer select mode for some reason. I guess that makes sense. Sort of. I guess one nice thing is they really improved the ability to zoom in Photoshop, which is nice. So I put that mark there as a reference, so when I scale this thing up again, or when I look at the other bar, which is actually on a different page, maybe that's why, maybe because they're on different things. Let's try this. Because I really just want to get rid of that nasty looking thing. So let me go over here back to, where is that? That's the title. And if I just copy the whole thing over, let's do the same thing here. So where is this? Creative co-looking, maybe that's the text, this is the background. And oh, that's super long. Let's just put this about to here. And I wonder if I can duplicate these layers onto the other one. So the layer I'm working on is group 111 SPSB, which is the embedded file. I should be able to duplicate both of these things over. If I go to duplicate layer and choose that file, and it'll make a copy of it in the other one. And likewise with this layer. So what this does is these two layers, I want them to be on this file because I want to have one file instead of two. And so that's there. So now if I go back, now there should be two of them. But I don't need the this version. Interesting. So now what we're looking at, you see this black overlap here that's happening. What does this tell us about the rendering? I don't know. That is so odd. Okay, let's save this. Close this one, because this is the one we're working on. And actually there is some overlap. That tells me that maybe these are in a weird drawing mode. Let's see. Okay, that's the new one. Okay, so that's the brown bar. This is what I called the what do they call this here? The title bar. So let's group these into something. Actually, why are we even grouping this? There's not a whole lot going on here. Well, I guess there is. This is the title bar, so I'm going to make a new folder here. I'll call this the title bar. Oops. So we got the title bar, we got the brand bar, and we have the offline thing. Just rearrange these because the title bar is on the right. And there is a mixing mode here going on, I think. What effects are here? Or is there some transparency? No. So what's this black thing here? It's coming from somewhere. If I unselect it, it just looks like the overlap area, but it's like there's a weird multiply mode. It's maybe this pass-through thing? Oh, it's linear burn. If I set that to normal, and then maybe the other one is set to linear burn too. It is. Normal. Alright, so okay, that came back. Let's see, when we use linear burn, what it would do is doesn't look like any such things changed. Oh, okay, this is the actual one. This is the one I want to look at. Okay, does that look better or not? This one we don't need anymore, I think. Let's nuke that. This is a copy. Oops, this is a copy of the file. Let's just make sure. This is Slate Dave Res Re-Res PSD. Okay, so that's fine. Let's go back into the brand bar, which is this. And so Coworking live stream. I want to know if that error that I saw is going to go away. Let's try re-rendering it. Oops, we don't want to do the whole thing. We just want to see if this part is fixed. So I'm going to select that, choose render. It looks like there's still a weird overlap thing happening. Is it just a bug in the renderer? You can see like the way the offset changes. So now it's rendering again. And this part didn't render before, so it's all messed up. So yeah, I don't know where this gray thing is coming from. You'd think that. Let's go back here and look again. There is some overlap. So if I have this, let's just make sure that this is set to normal. Is anything else weird going on here? This is also set to normal. The opacity is 100%. Let's make sure that these are not set to something weird. That looks okay. I'm looking for something that's changing the mode here. Pass-through should be fine for folders. There are some effects applied to this, but it's just a gradient overlay. And hopefully it's applied the same on each one. The one thing I can think of maybe is that there is some, oh, it is wider, it's significantly wider, so maybe there's something, maybe they're not exactly aligned. They look pretty darn aligned to me. And it is super long too. Or is it? No, it's not that long. Let's move the other ones just so there's no overlap at all. Which layer is that? That's this one. Just see what that looks like. If I put the gap there, does that still have the same rendering error? It does. And that looks like an anti-aliasing issue. And so when they overlap each other, I think the anti-aliasing compounds itself. Huh. So what does that suggest? That suggests doing this a different way. If I butt these up, there's probably going to be another anti-aliasing problem right here, anywhere there's an intersection. And the reason why this anti-aliasing error is showing up is because, actually that looks better now, just because by removing the amount, let's just double check and re-render that. And see, no, still looks like crap. It's still this weird thing. I think it's related to the resolution of the source texture. So what we want to do then is expand all of this. Alright, so here goes the next part of screwing around. We want to expand both of these things. So I selected both those layers and typing Command T, which is the transform. And then we're going to expand this. Hold down the Option key to center it. Make this like super big. And so this should about double the resolution of this. But I'm going to have to change all the I'm going to scale that down then. Let's turn that off. You can see the edge quality looks better relatively. Let's just check this area here. Re-render that and see if that fixed the anti-aliasing problem. A little better looking. It's not as bad. If I could make it bigger still, that might be the way to go. So I think we have a choice here. What we can do is actually resize this file, because this file is separate. What I'm going to do is I should be able to change the canvas size of this, just to save some memory. So instead of it being 1480 tall, we'll make it significantly not as tall. So I'm using the crop tool, and I'm going to just make this. This is me being cheap on memory. We want as much width as possible. It's actually a fairly high resolution file now. And crop this. Save this. This should move everything around. So now we're saving, I'm saying, and let's shift all that stuff around here. But you can see, actually the anti-aliasing has improved quite a bit, because we're now efficiently, this texture is being more efficiently mapped. However, we have to reset the entire thing now. So how do I do that? So this is a 3D scene, so I think I should be able to just reset the default camera. But the mesh is stretched in a funny way because the texture mapping has been fucked. This is close. How do I reset the mesh? Or I guess another way of doing it would be to take this, source, select a 3D extrusion. Actually, you can see how the mesh has changed. Look at the layer, what am I looking at here? These are not 3D right now, but it's changed the texture map. The mesh itself has changed. How do I modify the mesh? So I think these are supposed to be square. Let's back up and see what it looked like before. Okay, so it looked like, you can see that these squares, they're approximately the same aspect as the screen, but when I go back to where I was before, so now they become like twice just stretched out. And so I think that means that these have become stretched out. But there might be a way. Those are the UV overlays to reset the UVs. The UVs are the grid that overlays this, so it no, I don't know how it's gonna work. And I just had to replace it somehow. Why is that selected now? Because I'm still in the crop tool. How to do this? Check, see if anyone else is familiar with this. Not that familiar with the 3D tool. It's the first time I've actually used it. What I'm looking for is something to allow me to edit the mesh UVs. Maybe I can just stretch the whole thing. Oh, that'll be, oops. Transform a 3D layer, convert it into a smart object. What are my 3D transform options? Do I click on this? Scene, what are my scene properties? Let me pull this window out so I can see what's in it. Make sure there's no advanced options I'm missing. So, surface, style, solid. Okay. Bounding box. Normals. Depth map. So these are the mapping types, it looks like. There's a cartoon shader. Lighting only. That's interesting. Sketch. Huh. So we had solid. We weren't using any lighting effects. I don't think I have any lights in here. I don't think we're using this line thing. Oh, what's this? Oh, that shows me the actual size of it. I wonder if I can select that then. Whoa! Alright, what's that? The view is a default camera. What is this in the upper corner? That's the actual camera. I've reset this. I want to set the UVs. That's the graphic perspective. Brand. That was the old camera I had. Oh, you know what? Maybe I did stretch it because the way I was angling it, I wanted to look a little bit different. I don't remember why I have two of these, though. Probably can delete some of these cameras. So that one, let's delete that one. This one, I'm not even sure we deleted it. Maybe I had to, oops. Delete. I still have two of them there, though. Why can I not delete it? What's this do? Okay. The field of view is 44 degrees, or 44 millimeters, which is a slightly wide angle. There's another brand thing. What does this delete actually do? What's this? Coordinates pixels show 3D dimensions on canvas. If I reset the coordinates, uh-oh. Custom view 2. I've lost the ability to, deletes these, maybe not. This is a weird interface. There's the default that I had. You can see how it's stretched out, but how do I change the map itself? I've got the current view, current mesh. What's the current? I'm not using any of these features. This is the material map. Let's see if I'm affecting it. Okay, yep. Why can I not remap these UVs? Maybe it's one of these. So what is this? Show all 3D mesh and 3D extrusions. So this is mesh. you can move it up and down along different axes. Move along the y-axis. Move it left and right. Is there a scale? That's what I want. Where's the scale tool? Move on Z, scale uniformly. Oh, okay, it's an interesting interface. So I can scale along Y like this. And that will get me where I want. Yes. Alright. So now I just need to figure out what looks natural. So there's that. Let's move this along this axis again. And this is actually not a bad interface. So what happens if I move on the Z so I can zoom it out like that? And let me compare this to. Alright, so that's actually kind of working. Now I can't remember what it actually looks like though. So this I think is okay now. But we can still make it a little bigger. And so we're going to do that. So we'll select these two things, Command T. Let's scale this up as much as we can. So scaling from that, holding on the Option key to scale from the center. And I'm wondering if I should center the whole thing now. Maybe I should put this in the middle, which is right on here, I think. Let's get rid of this. Oh, crap. Let's get rid of this line, though. V. That's strange. Why didn't that work? Oh, it's stuck in the transformation mode. V. Should be able to delete that. Ah, no! How do I select delete a guide? View clear guides. In Illustrator you could just select it, but let's save that. Let's go back here. Now this is changed again. Now by scaling this up, I'm making better use of this texture area. Let's do this. Try this again. Oops. Whoa. Let's undo. Let's not show that mesh line. I forgot where I saw that. 3D. I guess when I'm in this view, I get different options. Well, anyway, select that. Let's make that bigger. Or actually, let's do this. Let's recrop this even again. What's the command crop tool? C? No, I didn't. Let it see what this perspective crop tool is. And let's just shrink that down as much as possible. Again, I'm trying to make better use of my texture area. And now, since these are smart objects, I should be able to just image size this thing up. It's already quite high resolution, it looks like. And is it scale? So let's bump this up by 120% to 120%. And so that's higher res again. Save. Now we should be being more memory efficient, but we're making better use of the texture map. So if we go back here, I need to do that rescaling thing again, because I've changed the aspect ratio again. And how did I do that? I forget. I think I selected the mesh somehow. Or I just clicked on this. Oops, I'm in this stupid crop mode again. Alright, so as soon as I actually selected the moving tool, that's when I got all these tools. So then when I select this, this is when I get that. Oh, it looks like I have a little bit of I've lost some of the edge there. And I think maybe, let's go back here and go back to the layers and select these all again. Oops. Or rather move them. Before I had them offset, right? It was more on this side. That might have been important. Or was it more on this side? No, I think it was more on this side. Save that. Go back here. Looks like I still need to extrude this out some more. That's the title bar, that's this background text. This needs to be wider. Oh, I think what's happening is it's actually getting cut off there. So I actually need to probably extend this crop maybe over to here. And then go back to crop that. Go back to V mode. Select these things. Get us back over here. Save that. Go back here. That didn't seem to update. I guess it needs to be moved over some more. And it looks like I've got about a quarter. That looks more than that. Is it? Well, maybe it is. Of course, it should be scaled too. This side. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll move this all the way here. And then on title bar, we'll expand this thing out. And we'll try to. Oops. This direct selection. That's direct selection tool. Spread a little bit past the edge there. Let's just make sure that we're not overdoing it on the other side. Save that. So I'm just trying to make an optimal texture at this point. And I'm not sure. So let's slide this over and let's scale this down so it looks about right to me. So this, I'm kind of eyeballing it here, and we need to bring it up. So this was something like that before, I think. Okay. All right, so now it'll be interesting to compare the file sizes. So let's go back to this layer and just kind of compare this to the original slate. I should be able to open that from overlays. The original one is called Slate Today JPEG. There's Slate Today JPEG. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste this as a layer on top over this, just so we can compare. Oh, it's a different color mode too. That's interesting. So doing 50%. Let me drop this. That's odd. Where's the mode? Here. So now it's underneath of it. Let's make that 100%. Oh, is it editing? This is normal. Normal. Why does it look so different? It's like a different color. And it's overlaying. No, it's not. I think it's just a different color. What I want to use this for, though, is just to compare. So let's actually convert this to black and white. Can I do that? I guess that's an image operation. Older color adjustments, mode, grayscale. Mode merge layers, don't merge. Don't rasterize. Why is it asking me this? Oh, it's because I did it under image, right? Yeah, so layer. I should be, no, let's just do it the old-fashioned way. Alright, so what I did, I think, I set this to 50%. What I'm looking for is I want to align the original one with the grayscale version. And actually, instead of making that grayscale, we will colorize this just so I can see where the original lines were. That's a good color to check it with. I guess that's okay. Alright, so you can see it's down a little bit. And it's been right here. This is where the original markation, and this is where it is now, so I need to move it down and to the left a little bit. And then also, it looks like it's pretty close to what I had it for as angle-wise. It's a little bit bigger though, I can see. So I'll need to adjust that. So how did I do that again? I had to select this whole thing, or this group. This is gonna crash on me, I feel it. How come I can't select that now? No, it's just slow. Slow. That's the way I should work on the PC. It's dropping frames too. It's just not happy. Okay. So, yeah, kind of pushing the limits of this. I should run this on the Mac and then flop it over using NDI. So I have that. If I select the group, I should be able to. It's probably going to drop frames again. It's trying to draw the 3D mode, but it's running out of video memory maybe. If I click here, maybe it'll come up. Okay, there's the thing I wanted. So I want it to be a little bit smaller. So that means move on the Z-axis a little bit. So we want to do. Oh, that might work. And then we should be able to do slide it down on the Y-axis. It's fairly close. Let's drop it down a little bit more. Oops, that's not the Y. That's the Z-axis. So there's that. Just a little bit down, a little bit more, it should be right. We're really close to where it was before. I'm just looking at the top and the bottom of that. Probably doesn't need to be exact, but pretty close. Okay, I think that's approximately where it was before. Now, the alignment here is different because I just changed that. But it's pretty close. I just want to make sure there's enough room down here because there's a video that is stuck there. So I think bring it right here is okay. Alright. So it looks good to me. Let's get rid of this and see if all that made any mattered at all. Let's get out of this. And I see this texture, this line around it. I don't think that will be there when I render it. I hope. Let's just see how that looks. I'll just test render this part of it. Uh-oh. No, it's telling me I can't do it. Create new 3D object? Why am I in this mode? I think Photoshop's about to crash on me. Save that. Close it. If I switch to this mode, is this still working? Looks like it is. So how come the renderer is no longer letting me render? It's stuck in this create thing. I have something turned on, maybe? I mean, all these things are working. Just hit it. I should be able to just select this and hit the render button. I'm stuck in something. Source. Why is it asking me to create this new object? How come I can't cancel it? Is this an UI bug? Mesh from preset, cone, mesh from depth map. Did I somehow delete the original? What happens if I click create? Oh, is it because I have multiple layers selected? No, I don't have multiple layers selected. It's because I have it selected in the other one? I think it's just confused. Let me double click this again. Okay, I do have multiple layers selected there. I don't think that would have made a difference, but who knows. So let's go back. 3D. Okay, it changed. So there was something, if I had the root layer selected there, it does something terrible. And it looks like it's rendering the lines too, which is what I don't want. Okay, let's render that area here. Yeah, it's goofed the whole thing up. It's not going to work anymore. It seems to be taking its sweet time. So, caching buffers. Uh-oh. Yeah. Looks, it actually looks worse. Huh. Well, that wasn't what I was hoping would happen. It's like the resolution is lower than it was before. And that shouldn't have happened. This file is plenty big. If anything, maybe the UV overlays. Paint system texture. As I turn on some sort of proxy effect. These are still high resolution. They look great here. There's a little bit of a gap. Let's save that. Close that. Here the resolution is fine. I am seeing these unpleasant lines though. This line here, I want to turn that off. I think it was an option I set to turn that on. Current view, 3D camera default. Is it one of these weird options? 3D camera environment, shadow, current view. As I select these. What was that line? That was part of the mesh. Shadows, we don't want shadows. What's this IBL thing? Image-based light source scene. We don't need to use that. We're not using any reflections. Oh, those are environment maps, that's what it is. Current view. Scene. Oh, maybe this is where there was an option to show that. Oops. That's not what I wanted. Coordinates. Oh, is this where it was? How did I get here? Oh, is it because I was... If I'm in this tool, I don't get those options, and if I'm in this tool... Alright, so let's undo lines. Now if I render it, maybe it will work. Okay, I'm in marquee mode. So now if I render this, come on, resolution. Uh-oh, this looks terrible. Something bad has happened. I have screwed it up. It should be rendering worse. Is there a rendering option? Rendering resolution? Style solid. Unlit texture. So interestingly, if I choose one of these modes, it's unlit texture, fault. So there's something that's affecting the final render resolution. I hope it's not actually using the source map and somehow interpolating what it thinks the render resolution should be, because that would be stupid. Maybe one of these other modes will work. If it's lighting only, maybe it won't do it. That seems to be fine. So if I chose when solids, it looks like it's guessing at what the resolution should be and screwing it up badly, which is interesting. So let's go back to here. So we have lighting only mode. What other options do we have? Oh, there's a render button here. Oh, we're also not going over to the edge now. Let's goof up. No, the alignment's there. It just doesn't go all the way, so I just need to extend that side. Okay, let's do that. I should be able to double click on this. And I guess we need to expand this thing again. Image, let's do it this way. Crop it. Stretch this side out. Crop. Save. Switch to the mode. Go back here. Hope it updates. That's odd. Still not enough. Let's go back here then. Back here. Let's put it all the way over here. Crop it. Save it. Back here. See if that is enough. I don't see anything happening. It doesn't seem to be updating. Actually, the whole thing is shrunk. That's what it is. So I need to actually, what do I need to do? I need to actually scale the thing again, which I did by going into that mode. I select this. Actually, I have to click on the screen. Okay. I have to redo that scaling thing. Scale along the y-axis. And turn this layer on again because that's my reference. Let's just see where it is. Yeah, the whole thing is moved. And so let's move it down to here. And then we want to scale it, bring it up. So I want to change the scale of it too, as though. So scale it back down to its approximately the right dramatic angle. Then we want to bring it up. So it's about the same size. That's about right. I'm going to slide this over here. Bring it down. Is that right? Looks pretty close. Looks alright. I should be able to re-render it. Let's select the area here and see if that works. Still retains the sharpness. We had changed it. It does look pretty sharp. It looks really sharp now. It's maybe a little bit too sharp. Compare this to this. You can see how soft these edges are in the original. But then compared to this, we're getting we're getting better edge quality, I think. Let's look at the S up here. In fact, it looks like it's over sharpening it. Maybe it's because of this lighting only mode. But that might give us some leeway to do some extra stuff. So let's go over back here. Because we have that working now, let's start adding some effects. So with the Dave Say logo, there already are some effects on this. Nope, there's no effects on that. Is there an effect on this? Well, let's just see what happens. So if I take this Dave Say text and if I add like a simple, that would be the one. You can add a drop shadow. Drop shadow, no size, distance down. Let's give it some opacity. So let's just see what that looks like. Okay, save this and go back. How does that look? Oh, that's an interesting dramatic effect. Do I like it though? It has a pseudo 3D look. It might work better on this part. This part still looks terrible though. Why is that? Let's re-render this and see if it gets better. Okay, so it just needs a render pass to straighten that out. But still not happy with this ropiness. Can I fix that? Right here it looks nice and thick, but I guess because it's slanted, you know, it looks a little bit worse. So maybe I just need to actually make this bolder. It looks like it's kind of a funny size too. Let's make this 75. 70? And can I shift the baseline up? That didn't do anything. Oh, that's the... I need to move it. Where's the... Is it this? Yeah, that's what it is. 1, 3, 5, 6, 7. 7 pixels looks about right. Might be just this. No, that's too much. So that should be. Let's call it 6. And save that. Let's go back. It's still pretty ropey looking. It's like there's a weird edge filter happening. That's eating away at the inside. So maybe the way to compensate for that is maybe we need to copy this drop shadow effect. So this drop shadow, hello, I am offsetting it by 1 pixel as a size of 1. I would make a size of 2 and a distance of 1. Oh wait, that's not even showing up. Oh, that's on the design encoding thing. I guess there was like an effect on it before. That's 50. Oh, maybe it's the drop shadow that's eating it. Layer knocks out drop shadow. Okay, let me cancel that. Let you remove the effect from this. How do I? Oh, I can just uncheck it. Let's uncheck all the effects on this. Say logo. Actually, they're all off on this one. Okay, does that change at all? Doesn't look like it. But let's re-render it and see. Yeah, where is this? Where is this coming from? Let's look at the width of that. The pixel width is 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like. If I zoom in on his, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1? Maybe. I think it's anti-aliasing that's killing this thing. Maybe I actually need to use a different. That's kind of a terrible @ sign. Who has a good @ sign? Is there do we have glyphs in this? Open type. Language options. No glyph window. Panels. Glyphs panel. This is Proxima Nova. Let's check. What's a font that's likely to have a really awesome @ sign? It's one of those things I should just know. Let's look at the Helvetica Neue one. And that's like a more classical looking one. Also, it's clipping at the bottom for some reason. Let's fix the offset on that. I wonder how that looks. That's marginally better. Not really? Yeah, maybe I should worry about it. I want to get on to some other things. It'd be nice to know what was causing that, though. So the drop shadow effect didn't seem to matter. This layer drops out thing. Let's undo that. The distance is 2, the size is 1. There are no other effects on that. Let's make the... That is anti-aliased quality. Global light. Blend mode is multiply. That's fine. Layer knocks out drop shadow. Maybe it's what we should make. Should work. But maybe it doesn't do work that well in the rendering rendering engine. So now I've just added a little bit of drop shadow, and that kind of helps it, actually. Maybe that also was causing, that's probably what was causing the outline effect, the drop shadow. By moving it down a little bit, that seems to have fixed it. What else did I do? There's 2 drop shadows on this. Why is that? One is a linear burn. This is on the Say logo. And a linear dodge. Let's just make it look a little cleaner. But then for this one, we are dropping it by 2, and the size is 1. If we make the size 0, that'll make a super clean one. We'll make it 3. And make it 5. 4. Okay. That might be better. Hard to say. Let's compare this to the other one. It's a little different. For one thing, this one's more in the center. The new one is much wider. Do I want that? It's also moved down too. You can see that the space on the between here and there has changed. The original one was is better, so we'll fix that. So we need to move all those things. So the brand bar, all these except for the bar itself needs to move. So these 3, V, and I want it to be right around there. Let's see if that compares. This is actually a little bit too close. It looks like I used a 1 to 1.1 to 2, 1.175. So this should be this space here. That should be about 1.75, less than 2. This would be 2. This would be 1.75-ish right there. So let's see if that's close. No, it's not. It didn't change. That's weird. Did not save it. Could be some issue with just like, because it's a wide angle camera, it's accentuating things to the left more. Let's try that. Or it's not updating. Is it not updating? Oops, I just broke it. We're losing frames again? Nope. Alright. Photoshop is dying. Oh, okay, that's what I did. So there's that. Why is that moving though? Something weird is happening. This group, when I'm saving it, doesn't seem to be actually changing anything. Let's close this, make sure that it's still opening the right one. So double click on that, should open it. Yeah, it hasn't changed at all. It's saving it to a completely different group. Thanks, Photoshop. So it should be about there, I think. 1 to 1.75. That was odd. Okay, that did update. That's closer. That's more like what it's supposed to be. You can see how much farther the Dave Say is going to the left, though. I'm not sure I like that. And why is that? It's because this is bigger? Overall, it is bigger. It might be alright, though. If it renders clean. Let's save this. And now let's render it. So I just want to render this part of it and then export it. And I should just be able to click that button. And it looks like it's done already because I'm using this different lighting mode. Just sort of the heck of it. Let's change it back to solid and see how badly that screws things up. Does it go back to the terrible low res? No, it's like so much lower res now. It must be some sort of auto resolution thing that's happening. Or it's still rendering actually. Render progress, where's the render progress bar? It doesn't seem to be doing anything. Actually, it's taking a long time. Oh, there it is. It's 3 minutes to render this? Huh, why is it taking so long? This doesn't look like it's going to get any better at it. Let's just render a little tiny part of it and just see. What if there's like a global... Oh, it's maybe the shadows that are... Possibly the shadow map. It was generating a shadow map and that was forcing the resolution. No, it's still screwed up. It still looks terrible. I don't know what it's doing. Surface. Cross section. Is there, let me look at see if there's some render preferences. What do we got here? Use this much memory. Allow direct to screen. Shadow quality high. Ray tracer threshold. Tile size large. What does this do? High quality threshold is direct to screen. Faster 3D interaction. Let's try turning off direct to screen, see if that helps. I don't think it will, but no, just some weird texture thing that's going on. And it's not exposing. Alright, can't find that setting. Selected constraint. There's no lights. Quality of final ray trace render. Yeah, so it's a mystery. I think it's stretching it somehow. It's doing something dumb like that. I think if there's any, because this resolution of this screen, this is only 1920 by 1200. Yep, 1920 by 1080. This texture itself is much wider than that. This is like 5,000. This is like almost 3 times the resolution. So it shouldn't downsample it unless it's using the vertical to figure it out. I mean, I guess the way to try it would be under certain paint system texture, paint on diffuse. That's interesting, so I can actually draw on this. Yeah, so I think I'll just have to make this use the other rendering format, which is render not on the texture. Although I'm curious what it'll do. It'll still render that black gray background, I think, but it'll still be. It still renders it sharp if it's rendering it at all. Yeah, it's interesting. It could be if I reboot the computer, the problem goes away. Flat mode seems to work too. Alright, so let's try this. It looks like it's the render is actually done. So render. Is it done? It's probably as sharp as it's going to get. Let's save this. Let's save a copy. Forgot what I was doing. 60%. That's probably good enough. Save. Let's overwrite the. Let's keep the old one. This one's called what? Slate Today. Call this one Slate Today Re-Res. And I haven't changed any of these other ones yet. Now you can see how much fuzzier that is. So look at this. So this is the current file. You can see generally how sharp it is. And this is one of the older ones. And you can see how much fuzzier it is. You can see it's like twice as fuzzy or 3 times as fuzzy. Considerably fuzzier than this. So at least there's some advantage to that. Alright, so now that that's done, let's fix this slate, why don't we? So I'm going to go to slate, and how fuzzy is it? And then I'm going to change this overlay, so it's show today, browse. I want to look using the browser. This is that bug with and click OK. So that should have changed. So it does look sharper. Camera positions look good. I mean, this maybe it looks like it's overlapping a little bit, but I think it's okay. Alright, so there's a marginal improvement in like front slate. And I've changed this title so it's a little bit more descriptive of what's going on. So I'm going to take that as a win. Now I can finally do something that's a little bit more fun. Oops. Let me close this. Guess we don't. Let's save it anyway. Close this. And close. Let's get out of this. And now I wanted to actually play with Reason. Am I running it? Oh, I am running it. I wonder if that was like hogging memory. It might have been. Looks like it's died. Alright, so, okay, so Reason. Let's see if the sound works. Set this up to loop back into the audio files. So let's see if this actually works.
Yes. Last year was just crazy here. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the file. Let's sort of play around with this. Oh, this is the last music thing I was doing. Oh, it's gone, I guess. Oh well. But what I was thinking about doing, I wonder where these files went. And it's nice that it's removing them too. Oops. File. So this is a demo song. And what I was thinking about doing, oops, it popped up on the wrong screen. So what I was thinking about doing with this, the reason is just like going through the instruments and then like you can just look at drum tracks. So this is the demo song. Alright, so let's make a new file. And I really don't know how to use this music part of this software, so this will be all new. And new to me anyway. So, but what do I remember about how this thing works? We have tracks in the sequencer. We have this view thing here. I think, do these keys work still? I don't know, that sucks Bluetooth now. No, I guess it doesn't work. The interface is a little different. There's mixer. I don't have anything really on there yet. This is the performance thing. If I tab, it's supposed to switch it around though. I thought it did. I'm seeing the back of this. Oh, maybe I had a... That's weird. This is the routing part of it. How do I switch it back to the... I thought it could have sworn it was tab that switched it. Auto route, lock core nano key to disconnect device reason files. What version of Reason is this? 8.3. I think that's not the newest one, but I don't think. How come it's not working? That's because it's full screen, I guess. Where'd it go? Oh, it popped up over here. Let me undo that. I could have sworn it was tab that did this. Oh, maybe I screwed up the connection. Like, press F1 on the keyboard. And maybe I'm actually not... oh yeah, that's why. Because I've lost the Bluetooth keyboard connection. Why is that? Is it permanently lost? And I lost my mouse cursor now. Yeah, what happened to the Bluetooth connection? I killed it. Let's turn off the keyboard, turn it on again. Alright, so now this is working again. So the tab key will switch back and forth. These are some basic instruments. This is a plate reverb, a room reverb. It looks like it's hooked up from... let's close. This is just the echo. So there's no instruments in this. It's like a basic kit. So I should be able to pick one of these instruments. These are virtual instrument racks. So I can choose between effects, utilities, ways of routing sounds into each other and modifying them. We'll start with instruments. So what I was interested in just previewing all the drum samples and figuring out how to put them together into something. So let's just go and see what we have. The Korg Drum Designer, the Redrum Drum Computer, the Thor Polysonic Synthesizer, the Subtractor Analog Synthesizer, the Maleson Grain Table Synthesizer, the ID8 Instrument Device. This is just for, this was something they added with Reason Record when it was a separate product. The Octorex Octorex Loop Player. I think that's actually what I'll play with. Advanced samplers, external MIDI instruments. Let's try this thing. Can I double click on it? Okay, I double clicked on it, automatically added it to it. It looks like we have a track down here. Let's close this mixer thing. And we should be able to load stuff in it, if I recall. Or just go up and down patches. So how does that work though? Acoustic drums, College i30i. Alright, so these are actual loops. And there's different versions of it. So I just gotta think about like what kind of songs you're reminded of. What I'm really looking for is like some really funky, crazy drum track. So that's interesting, so there's different progressions. Notes to slot. I'm not sure what that does. And so I'm switching on measures. I wonder if the keyboard will. No, like this media controller is using something for something else. Bar, beat, what does this do? I can transpose it, it looks like. Volume. Control the levels of it. What's this sequencer do? It says, okay, mix. This is where this is, I guess. Or these are what's available. This is just guitars, that makes sense. There's rhythm guitars. What is this programmer? Whoa, what's that? Alright, let's just go through these. Synth bass burst. So, because this is a loop programmer, I think I can layer stuff on top of each other. Looks like I can change characteristics of the sound by playing with this. Velocity of the... what does this do? This is shaping the way it sounds. So I could automate these to do fun things with it, I guess. You can see there's different variations if I look at the bottom corner, bottom left here. Let's go at this by the beat. So when does it transpose? Let me get the sequencer back up. Oops, too much. So I can see the bars that are there. Are happening. Loop that on. Let's pick the when it syncs. So interesting. Let's just go through all these things. Acoustic drums. What's this? Oh. These are all pretty basic things. So I can just see a list of them all. Browse. So these are the basic ones. Bass loops, synth bass. So this must be the beats per minute here. I wonder how these are actually made. These are sampled and then slotted into things. What does this actually do here? Let's see, acoustic drums. Now you can buy refills. I guess I want to just learn something. I don't hear it changing though. Oh, I had to do it up here. This is a selection to look. So I guess I can load separate loops into different. This is what changes it. Oh, I guess I want to do it on a bar. I don't hear it changing though. Oh, there it goes. Maybe they're just. These are very similar, maybe? Or is this bar not? I'm surprised I'm not seeing this scan through it. Follow loop playback. Oh, okay, there we go. So we can see what's going on. There's some variations, slight differences. So you can make some variations for it to make it sound. That's interesting. So you can familiarize yourself with how these sound. It looks like they're independent of. So I switch the BPMs to like. This one's 105. That was the original. Intended recording speed? But I made this 250. Alright, so how do I go out, get out of this? Okay. Who are these people? KLB Funk. That's interesting. You can manage, so you can start even an intro. There's a hi-hat. That kind of weird progression. These are kind of cool. Oh, vintage. So I could just, I guess that's a practice thing. I could just choose one of these things, I guess, and just put them down. And then see if I can put something on top of it. I think that the cheese ball way to do it would just be to power pop us that. It's funny that these all have, what makes one metal and the other one not? This is, kind of intrigued by this. So those are just drums, but they have other rhythm tracks. Guitar loops. Manchester? Major scales. Oh, interesting. Oh, you could totally cheese something together. Oh. Instant folk song. By scale. Yeah, so this is the master key. It said key, Manchester key of A. What is Manchester? Does it refer to a certain sound? Like a Beatles sound? The minor scale version of it. So if you had a chart, you could probably just like pick a bunch of these things and switch between them. That was the strumming guitar. How about the electric rhythm guitar? Cherry rhythm, what's that? Oh, it looks like they have a basic set. There's 5 in here too. Is it the same pattern? So this is the cherry rhythm A. So if I choose this one, is it going to sound the same pattern? It is, it just sounds different. So you can substitute these. What are these strums? Okay, so this is like the strum 6/8 time? What do those sound like? No. It's like I'm learning some music theory. Chord strokes. There's more of these though. Uh-oh. It broke. Oh, there it goes. Oh, that's all it does. Oh. It's like every like every song you've heard before. It's like, oh. This is actually, you know, people can actually hear one here. I should make this louder. Variations. Kirk riffs. Funny thing I noticed when I was watching some videos online of actual bands, that a lot of them, like, it's like 4 or 5 different players are doing just really small things like this, and it all comes together. So the bass player is kind of providing the line, the drummer is providing the percussion, but the rhythm guitar players are doing things like this, and just making little changes to fill in the right places. Music loops. This is 35 beats per minute. Oh wait, maybe it's 135. That's 135. Okay, that's much more interesting. These are different kinds of percussion. Congas. It's like, you can imagine you spend like a day just going through this to kind of see what's there. Good lord, how many is it? Because these are all the Octorex patches? This is where it was. Wait, is this all different stuff? Oh, these are the individual patches. Okay, so I think these are the actual loops. The patches are collections, I think. Instrument, yeah. Wait, this is Dr. Octorex. Octorex is the drum machine, I think. What is the Octorex again? Okay, here's the actual files. ACGT Open A90. Let's see if we can find it. Ah! ACGT Open ACGT Open A90 ACGT Open, so it'll be in here. These are open strums. CGGT Open A, okay, so this is, so the Octorex holds collections of these loops, it looks like. So you could probably put something together just out of that. I just lost my place though. If I click this again, close that. This is where I was. So these are some of the basic. So I've looked at all of these, I think. Let's look at some of these other things. Let's delete this device. What other device? Let's go back to instruments. That was that. These are synthesizers. These aren't. I think the drum computer is something that it's like you program the drum machine for it. Yeah. Yeah, so this is more of a drum program. Yeah, this is the disco kit. this is a program just specifically, I think. Delete this. Can I just delete by selecting it and deleting it? Alright, so what else do we have here? So there's the effects. These are things that affect the output of the sound. We'll play with that. Utilities, combinator. These are combinations of instruments. These spider things I think are new. The mixer, rebirth input machine. Audio track is for recorded stuff. What does this do? Does this have anything cool with it? So this is the RPG 8 monophonic arpeggiator. How do we make it do something? I don't think there's anything with. Is there some button that loads? It's on. Oh, the arpeggiator, I think, needs a source to work with. So what happens if we take the loop player? And how do we route this into that? So this is the output of the R of the X. This has no inputs. It has a gate length CV. These CV I think is a continuous value input level. Velocity, rate resolution, so you can control the rate. Arpeggiator trigger in. Mysterious. It's on. What that means. Well, let's see. If we run this thing, I see a rate thing appearing here. It's not plugged in though. There's a way I can just auto route the device. Can I select two devices up and route them? Pattern enable. Oops. Maybe this needs to actually drive an instrument though. Let's use this ID8. And can I auto route this? These two? I'm not sure if this is actually a route to. No, this is like. So this isn't actually playing anything though. This is, I guess, I would read the manual for this. So the mod wheel from the Octorex is going to do this. Aftertouch CV out. Gates, note CV out. Is there a note thing on the, here's the ID8. What is this? ID8 1 output, input. Okay, this is going to the output. Is there an input? Pre-out, mono, input. Does this have an input? I'm mystified. Input disabled. Show programmer. Programmer CV in. I don't know what this does. Gate CV out. Does this plug into anything? I have no idea what I'm doing. I guess I'll have to read about this. Stop! Stop! So I imagine like that this thing would, you can connect it to create arpeggios. So I think I've heard this effect before. Alright, so I guess that's it. We're just playing with this. I get the idea that I could maybe just, because I don't know how to play anything, I could just try to build stuff out of the existing Octorex thing and just layer stuff on top of it, trying to see what it sounds like. And then, like, if I feel like it, I could actually look at the Reason prop shop. Oops, I'm bleeding all over the place. What happened? And yeah, they have all these different rack extensions that have different, like, basically sound plugins. Or like you can buy the pre-made kits, I think. I really have no idea what's, we're up to version 9.5. Sound libraries and presets, loops and samples and patches. That's what we want. So I wonder if we can preview these. Luminosity. What's Parsec 2? Techno sounds. Synth loops. Hybrid drums. It's like a drums and percussion. Li-fi house. Future trap and footwork. Eclectic electronica. Cosmic disco. For $39. Is there a sample here? How do I know what's in it? Sample music. Or sample magic. That's where it was. How can I know it's... Oh, I'm blocking it with this. Let's trust this site. Alright, so here's the samples. Except this is not going to loop back. That's so loud. I need to change the loopback sound settings. Where is that? That's here. Monitor through built-in output. I can't control the built-in output sound. How do I change that? Internal speakers. Just drop this down so it's not as crazy loud. Back to loopback. See if that's less annoying. Okay, it's not as loud as it was before. So I can crank this up. So I could theoretically shop for things that have a good sound to it and then build my own podcast music from this. I think. Like for $19, assuming these are pre-built, what does it say? Live and synth percussion in a single package. These are just sounds. So these samples, I guess if you're an actual musician, you can use these. But I guess we're looking for these Octorex patches. Those would be the training wheel versions of this. So let's look for Octorex. Bundles, refills. Software libraries and presets. Sort by developer name. Refills, loops and samples. Loops and samples, house loops. Refills I think are... Look at this one, this one's $299. What's in this? 22 instruments and rack rack extensions, 44 tutorial videos. So what do we get out of this? It's a museum of synthesizers. That's pretty neat. I'm already bored though. Analogs, yep, World Booster. Drums and Beats Booster. Forest frame drums? Animal skin drums? These handmade, what's in this? You get 3 traditional deep sampled frame drums. I guess I'm looking for... There must be some sort of just Octorex. Like... only, or fill patch things. Soul School, I've heard of this. 180 Octorex patches. I seem to recall this is actually pretty cool. What are we gonna do when SoundCloud goes away? Let's see. Bob Reynolds loop connection. Oh, a whole bunch of saxophone like things. 182 Rex 2 loops. 23 Dr. Octorex patches. The Bob Reynolds. Who's Bob Reynolds? Oh, look at this. Interesting. You can control each part of the... Huh. It's like cut and paste music. Oh, here's Soul Tool 2, which was the cool one. $99. 900 Rex files, 150 Dr. Rex patches. Really?
Yeah. Soul School, let's go. Representing the first class of the unheard. Spit fire every breath till my lungs burn. Same feeling that you get.
So we want to make clip music. This would be something to play with. I could spend like a couple days just looking at all these things. So that was under refills. Where's that? Loops and samples. Refills. Techno grooves. So that's interesting. They called the Octorex patch things instruments, which I guess makes sense. Yeah, this is clip art, basically. Glimmer. Call it acid. Percussion machine. Create cinematic loops with ease using the Score percussion machine. Just so you can just make your own. Not sure how to feel about this. I mean, in any case, if I wanted to make any kind of music, there'd be like a huge time investment. Just even just to review this here, I can make. Or I can try to learn how to do it the manual way. Do this. I feel like a scrub for not knowing how to do any of this. Groove machine. What is that? Royalty free music. I don't know. There's a lot to learn. Micro house beat. I could just start with one of the basic ones and just learn how to put something together that might suck, but it'd be a learning process. And in the past, when I used to do animation for corporate stuff, we would spend days just like listening to like stock music to find the one that had the right mood. and the right rhythm that we knew that we could tie the animation to based on our script. And I kind of missed that. My partner Bevan was the one who really had the sense of music. Yeah, like, but I guess I liked editing music. We also use that to edit stuff. So I kind of missed the editing part of these things. I don't know. Maybe I need to upgrade the reason. 9, 5. What do I get for it? Ooh, you can get a Scarlet 2i2. Nah, I want the bigger one. How much is the upgrade? Reason 9.5 is a mere $129. What's new in it? The VST support, which is a big deal. That's a virtual instrument standard that every other digital workstation software seems to use, but Reason has not until now because their software is rock solid, and they didn't want to allow these poorly written plugins in their software environment. Scales and chords. These will filter and remap your playing to always be in key. Huh. With chord mode, you'll be playing scale perfect one-finger chords. You never knew were this good. That sounds like something for me. Note echo. That's a cool effect. Dual arpeggiators. Players combined. This is kind of neat. Pitch edit. That's an interesting feature. Ableton links so you can control. Jam with friends. What is Ableton link? Is it a way to like network jam with people? There's a lot of latency though on the network. I mean, it'd be off by 100 milliseconds or more sometimes. That would be enough to kill you. Reverse MIDI. Select MIDI automation and reverse it. Oh, okay. These are the rack extensions. These are included things. Other features. Huh. I guess there's a whole other market for pre-made tracks. No, this is a lot of a lot of stuff. Anyway, it's 11:30 now. I think I'm done looking at this. So, yeah, it hasn't moved at all. Boop, boop, boop. So, alright, so I got to fix my slate. Let's look at it again. Ta-da! Sharper, more topical. And I played around with the Reason a little bit to just get an idea of what I could do with it. And this is the first time I've actually let myself play with stuff in a while. So I need to do this more because it's this kind of play that increases my knowledge about how this stuff works. I'm trying to be more serious about getting back into new media development. It used to be fun for me until it became kind of work. Anyway, thanks for watching this, okay, what do I call this? Not co-working, but co-playing session. And maybe we'll do one of these again soon. Have a good night. Oh, I can switch to my... Does this thing work? No, that's not right. I'll switch back to this, because we're closing this. Now wait for 10 seconds.